Yes, that's right, baby. We are back, and you're listening to the Original Sports Show. And I'm your host, Leopold Jeans, the Big OG, broadcasting live here on CRN Digital Talk Radio, baby. Bighorn Productions out here in sunny Sunland, California. And the number to call in today is 1-800-336-2225. Once again, the number to call in today is 1-800-336-2225. That's right. We're going to get it cracking up here in the Original Sports Show. I love that. Bump that, bump that. Yeah, you know, on the Original Sports Show, we keeps it OG. We bump the hip-hop instrumentals, the rock and roll instrumentals, whatever makes us keep the show flowing and keep the show hot like my engineer Matt does all day, baby. On the OG Sports Show, say, hey, what you got to say? Oh, I want to say what's up to my homegirl, Ray Ray, all the way back from South Carolina. What's up, girl? I'm glad you're back, girl. You're so fun. You're like the funnest girl in the world right now. That's right. Let's do this. Let's get back into the Original Sports Show, baby. Let's do this. We got my man. We got some Pac-10, Pac-12 football to talk today because there's so much going on in the Pac-12 in that beautiful conference, that football conference. And we got my main man, Stevie Mack, from the Pac-12 Network, coming in from the Pac-12 Sports Watch. Brilliant guy, full of insight for us, and we're going to go ahead and bring Stevie Mack in on the Original Sports Show. Is he out there? We got Stevie Mack on the phone here.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
All right, thank you for joining us on the Original Sports Show, Stevie Mack. I really appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and talk a little Pac-12 football. We love your insight. We know you're full of information there. But I want to start this off by saying and asking you, who's the biggest sleeper in the Pac-12 right now? You know, there's a lot of great teams in the Pac-12, and there's a lot going on. But, you know, the way Oregon State's looking right now, the way UCLA is looking right now, USC losing to Stanford like that, Stanford playing, you know, balls out right now. There's a lot of good things going on in the Pac-12. Tell me what you think about that.
Well, I think that if you're looking for a sleeper, I think you'd have to look at Arizona State or Arizona. Oregon State, the jury's out. They're going to play tonight at Arizona. I think you'll see Arizona move the football on them, and you'll really get a good feel for how good those two teams are. But if you're looking for a sleeper who I think is playing pretty well and playing at a high level, has a chance to do some damage in the conference right now, I would say it's Arizona State, just because you look at their game at Missouri, they turned it over 4 times, and they still had a chance to win that game at the end of the game. And they're 3-1. They're going to Cal today for a big game, and they play good defense. Todd Graham's got them much more disciplined, and their quarterback, Taylor Kelly, has really come on as a sophomore. He hasn't played much, but he's a very good athlete, and he's doing a good job for them. But, you know, I mean, there's a couple of good sleepers in the conference, but if you're looking to identify one team, you know, I would say Arizona State, and then I think next, Oregon State's really interesting when you see what they've been through at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, you know, I was going to say Taylor Kelly, this guy's playing lights out. He's got the highest QB rating in the Pac-12 right now. He's already got 1,000 yards passing. This guy's lights out. You know, he's got 91 or 66 completions off of 91 attempts. Very accurate. You know, he's not that big. He's in the Drew Brees mold, 6'1", 203 pounds. The question with them is their defense. You know, are they going to show up today or not?
You know, that'll be a good question. They're playing against an experienced quarterback. I mean, I think when you look at Cal's tough at home. It's weird. They play very poorly on the road, but they play well at home, and they've got an experienced quarterback. So you're right. I mean, if Arizona's defense does show up. But I was at the Utah game, and Utah's a decent club. They were top 15 on defense in the country, play pretty well offensively, well coached. You know, won a bowl game last year when they went 8-5 and had a bunch of experience back. And ASU handled them defensively, so we'll see. But, I mean, the conference is really young. I think, you know, you're sitting there looking at Oregon State and what they've been able to do, you know, beat 2 top 25 ranked teams in their first game after you know, having their first game basically rained out because of the hurricane down in Louisiana. They didn't get a chance to play Nicholls State, and that game got rescheduled. And so we'll really find out how good they are tonight when they play Arizona, because they're going to face a very good offense.
Oh, yeah, and you know, that Pac-12, it's a vicious battle. Every game matters. People don't understand. I mean, when you compare this conference to other conferences, you know, I always say, you know, you can say whatever you want about the SEC. I think, personally, they run primitive offenses down there, and, you know, they stack defenses. You get a lot of great athletes on the defensive side of the ball out of the SEC. But the Pac-12, you're talking skill players, you're talking pro-style offenses, you're talking guys that go to the NFL and that can play immediately.
Well, you know what's interesting about it? Leopold, I did a little research on this last year. USC went into Auburn when Auburn was ranked number 1 and undefeated, and SC beat them 30-0. Oregon went into Tennessee a few years ago and beat them 48-13. And the SEC and the Pac-12 have played 15 times in bowl games in the history of college football. The Pac-12's won 7, the SEC's won 7, and they've tied 1 game. And one of those SEC wins was a national championship game with Auburn and Oregon, where it came down to the last play of the game. So, in terms of parity, the difference is that those teams in the SEC don't move the football nearly as well as the Pac-12 schools do.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. You know, Cam Newton made all the difference in that game. The guy's a remarkable, tremendous player. You know, he was the X factor there.
He's a once-in-a-lifetime player, yeah. But I'm just saying, if you're trying to compare the conferences, the Pac-12 is really strong, and they've already showed that this year. Last week or 2 weeks ago when UCLA beat Nebraska, they had 3 teams win in the top 25. Oregon State upset Wisconsin. Arizona beat Oklahoma State. And that was only the second time that it's happened in the conference. And the first time it happened was in '84 when they won the Rose, the Fiesta, and the Orange Bowl. So, the conference is really strong top to bottom. I think, too, that people forget that this stuff runs in cycles. I guarantee you the SC's not going to win 5 straight national championships or 6 straight national championships when they got to play their way in starting in 2015 instead of being voted in.
Exactly. That's the big difference. And we're going to see that. I mean, how much of a difference is that going to make in college football? You know, this is my major argument every year, all year. These guys play 12 games, and in the end, they get handpicked. They get handpicked. And, it's just the only major sport without a playoff. And I think, we're taking steps towards parity by having this 4-team playoff, but it's still not enough for me. What's your take on that, Stevie?
Well, I think that the playoff will help, but I'll just give you an example of how big of an East Coast bias there is. Last week, 2 top 25 teams, Oregon and Arizona, playing on national TV, and that game wasn't even posted on ESPN until the next morning. The results were not posted except for if you went in and looked at the actual standings, and the reason was because everybody was in bed, and that's a good example of how the media is perceived West Coast. You got 3 games tonight in the Pac-12. They all start at 7 o'clock. That's 10 o'clock East Coast time. They don't even go. The games don't even get over till 1 o'clock in the morning back there. So I've said this all along that 80% of the voters live east of the Mississippi, and that's why there's a bias. But at least when we have a 4-team playoff, which is really a +1 gig, it's going to be 3 conference champions plus 1 more team. So you could see 2 teams from the Pac-12 or 2 from the SEC. But the bottom line is that they're going to have to play for it, and it's really going to make a difference after the bowl game.
Yeah, no doubt. I see that as a member of the Football Writers Association. We get all these votes, and I'm always, the one guy out here voting on the West Coast. But, hey, Stevie, thanks for joining us on the show today. Give us your Twitter shout-out and anything else you want to say on the show before we go out. We got 20 seconds, bro.
Well, just go to our site, Pac12sportswatch.com, and check out what we're doing. If you want to follow me on Twitter, just go to Stevie Mack SW. It's all good, bro.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us on the Original Sports Show. We'll stay in tune with you all football season. Stevie Mack, thank you so much, my man.
Thank you.
All right, and there you have it. We will be back on the Original Sports Show. Holla.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for prescription drugs? Well, we have great news. Now you can finally get prescription drugs at huge discounts from Canada Drug Center. That's right, the most popular drugs for cholesterol, high blood pressure, depression, diabetes, arthritis, and many more are now up to 75% off. Why pay